Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk Naples with me, Blair White, and the crew at Blair White Team. This show is where we ditch the scripts and get into the real story shaping life here in beautiful Naples. Today's episode is a big one. We're talking about transformation, connection, and the future of how we live and move through Southwest Florida. I'm talking about the Bonita Estero Rail Trail, or BERT, a game-changing project that's just getting underway but already generating major buzz.
All right, yeah, thanks, Blair. I know today I'm very excited about today's episode because I get to welcome someone that's very special to me, and she happens to be my sister, Natalie White.
Woo!
Not only is she amazing, she's also been named Defender of the Golf by Gulf Shore Life magazine, 40 under 40 with Gulf Shore Business, and she's also been named. What other accolades do you have, Natalie?
Oh, you're putting her on the spot.
No, I know. She's also been the Citizen of the Year, guys, with Southwest Florida Inc., all in 2023. So it's been an amazing year for her. I'm very proud of her, obviously. I really look up to her, and she's awesome. And she's spearheading this project we're about to talk about. So the floor is yours. Let's hear about it.
Well, thank you guys for having me today
you're
on your
welcome.
second ever
Thank you for coming.
episode. It's
Yeah.
really awesome. And there's obviously a lot of exciting things happening in Southwest Florida, and just thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah.
What exactly does BERT stand for, Natalie?
So BERT is Bonita Estero Rail to Trail, and it is it's a trail. It's an existing railroad track that is not used, and the goal is to transform that railroad track into a trail that and to make it a trail town. So it'll connect. It's a missing link that connects a larger trail system.
Mhm.
So it's called the Florida Gulf Coast Trail that goes all the way to Sarasota and Collier County. And so it'll connect, the goal is that it connects to Lee County as well as Collier County's Paradise Coast. But then from Lee County, that connects all the way to up to Sarasota, which is all part of that Gulf Coast Trail.
So we also want, 200 miles when it's all said and done, I think? Something wild.
Yeah, it is.
Yes,
It's a really
insane.
long link, and this little piece here is super exciting because it's obviously every section is so different, but this
Mhm.
piece really intersects a lot of fun activity, and like the potential is just endless, and so that's what really is what excites me about the project, the opportunities beyond just a bike trail.
Right.
So
I was, my wife and I was actually telling Jonathan this the other day. We went to downtown Bonita, and there's this little, oh gosh, what's it called? Wolf Moon.
yes,
Mhm.
Swayed at Wolf
Yeah.
Moon, because she's been just raving about these pastries and the coffee, and she's a big matcha drinker. I think that's what
Yeah.
it's called. It's so funny. She has like her home little ordeal at home where she does the powder, and it's fun. But I'm going to get in trouble for saying that.
Yeah.
That's all right. But it's really cool because that downtown area is nothing like I remember it.
no,
I mean, it's thriving.
yeah,
Like thriving. So you have the, I think like a food truck park that has a rooftop bar, and you
Mhm.
also have the Sugar Shack.
yeah.
Mhm.
I own a little rental property off of Kentucky, and I've had it ever since right before the pandemic. And this railway that you're speaking of,
Mhm.
like literally is right there in downtown Bonita.
Yeah.
And I always thought to myself, like,
Mhm.
there's no way that a train actually goes up and down through anymore because it's all overgrown,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. And lo and behold, here we are, fast forwarding 4 years, 5 years, ahead, and they're actually turning it into something that's useful for everybody.
Yeah, so it's this project actually has been like talked about for a really long time, and and I think the important part of it is that we need to talk about it now because a lot has changed, and so there's been a lot of and the pessimistic views about it, like, oh, that's never going to happen, that railroad track's never going to get bought out, and
Mhm.
it's never going to happen. But it is happening, and that's what's exciting is that there is movement. So what happens is this existing railroad tracks is owned by the family that has owned this railroad track, and
Okay.
they're trying to buy it from them in order to purchase the land, remove the tracks, and then
Mhm.
create the trail. That initial cost of what we're going for is around 70 million,
Mhm.
and it's an expensive cost. And our goal is to really share the story of why it matters and why everybody should care about this trail. City of Bonita Springs, across this village of Estero, and like you said, goes all the way to Collier County, and there's parts of it that is part of Collier County. They have all endorsed it. They're all behind it, and they put money towards it. So right now it's 50% funded of that initial purchase.
Oh, wow. So
And so
$35 million has already been.
right.
Yeah,
Right now,
awesome.
33. We're waiting for another 6 million
Okay.
that Collier County is going to, by the end of June, add to the bucket. And so that's really important for us because that's showing momentum of like, okay, the cities and the counties and the municipalities are endorsing it and behind and supporting this trail because they understand the importance of it and how it's going to impact the region.
Right.
Um,
So this is going to happen. I mean, there's 35 approximately.
My
already.
goal is that it happens.
Right.
And I know, so I work really closely with Deb, who's the president of the Friends for BERT. And so
Okay.
she is really the beginner. She's been spearheading this. Her background is very different from mine. She got really into it because of safety, right? She rides bikes, and there's just been a lot of accidents in Collier County, but in Lee County mostly.
Okay.
There's a significant raise in accidents on bikes and deaths. So that's just kind of been a passion project, and this was kind of a way to help reduce that. But it became more. When I first heard about it, I read it on Gulf Shore Business that there was this trail coming, and I'm an architect. I don't think it's that part, but
Not only an architect, but you're the principal of this firm, correct?
You're right. So
All right.
at Schinkel Schultz, I lead our Southwest Florida regional office, and we have our headquarters in Orlando and Sarasota, but I lead the Southwest Florida region, and we're actually located in Estero. I live in Bonita Springs, so I'm also I go downtown Bonita. I love it. It's just it's like a gem, and it's like the last.
Tons of walkability. Very old Florida, but it's
what they're
just
doing is going
thriving.
to. It's really exciting. So I'm all for all those businesses coming in, those small businesses, and really the Sugar Shack is an amazing venue. It's such a great thing to have.
Do you know their story?
Their story is crazy. Yeah,
So
it
cool.
started in Bonita Springs.
Right.
So
they rented this place for like $800 or something a month.
Yeah.
And just blew up from there.
yeah, they're doing really good.
Yeah.
They're doing really good. And so when I first learned about this project, all I wanted to do was know more about it because as a resident, I want to have a trail, and Jonathan, you remember we went to Highline in New York?
Yeah.
That
was an amazing time.
The High Line is this trail. Well, it's a subway line that was abandoned
Okay.
in New York City, and they converted it into a trail, and it crosses, a very urban setting, and it's just transformed the city. And it's become like this really intricate, and the moments it's just so special. And then there's like walking, and then there's just so many, like it becomes an amphitheater. The trail tracks become a bench. Like there's just so many amazing moments along this trail architecturally that were very, like, for me, it was inspiring. And the way that it impacted the city, and how a building that was on the trail and didn't really care about being on the trail, but then once it became on the railroad, but became a trail, now their facade is on the trail, so their focus has become pedestrian friendly to the trail side. Does that make sense? So now you have a roadside entry, and then you have like a pedestrian side entry, and so it kind of changed the way people are thinking about like the businesses along that existing subway line. So instead of ignoring the subway, now they're like, how can we engage to bring people in? Because now you have all these pedestrians coming and walking through this trail. How am I going to, grab a coffee, or get off the trail and grab a coffee, or go over here and, go into a store? So it was such a fun, it was fun to see in pieces too, because, we go to New York often and it's like always changing. So it was built in pieces. And so that's where I met you too, remember?
Yeah,
Jonathan showed up in New York.
Well, she was going to Maine, and I'm like, wait a second, I want to be a part
I was
of
like,
this
meet
trip
me in
too.
Chelsea Market. And Chelsea Market is like right off this trail. And then it's just, so anything that comes off of this trail, they start building off of, and just kind of like, it's just a catalyst, for more development, and in the right way, because it's pedestrian and bike friendly.
So typically, a project like this would be headed by an engineer, correct?
Yeah.
But you're an architect.
Yeah.
So what's
I
your
know.
vision when it comes to
Typically, we
this?
do
So,
buildings, not
right.
trails.
I think
But
it's fascinating though, because I mean, truly, you're bringing the passion.
yeah.
You know, which is what an architect has, in my opinion, versus just the black and white from an engineer's standpoint.
Yeah,
So I love that.
I was inspired by the High Line and it was a mix of architects and landscape architects and civil engineers who worked
Okay.
on it. It was led by an architect. But I just, for me, it was personal because I live here and I care about this region. And I just, also my family, like I want to be on this trail. And I just see, like I've seen throughout, and traveling and going into other major cities, I'm like them transforming their city by a trail. Like another example is Atlanta with the Green Line, the Green Belt, sorry. And that, again, very similar. It would be similar to what we're trying to do. New York is very urban and it's a subway line that's elevated. So it's very different. So it's exciting. So when I learned about the project, it was really just to learn more about it. And I just wanted to share with Deb the opportunity. Like if you haven't seen these other trails like around the nation and how people are approaching this. And so the High Line is a great example. And after the High Line, they built this whole High Line network, right? So there's other cities that want to do the same thing, but they kind of use that idea and they like transform it for themselves on their own region. So when I first met with Deb, we were talking about that, and I just, I said, what can I do to help to like really understand the project, anything you need, right? So it was more, when I got digging into it with her, it was more about storytelling and really sharing the vision, because when we show, a trail, people just think, oh, it's a paved road with bikes.
Right.
Like,
But it's way
not
more
that
than
important.
that.
No, we're thinking more like a corridor, right? Where the intersections, like you said, one of the major intersections is downtown Bonita.
Yeah.
And that's an exciting moment that a lot can happen and sprawl from that moment, as well as the village of Estero. So, so just to talk a little bit about what the actual trail and the location is, BERT.
It's good to see it on a map. I think that really helps.
Yeah, there's two. So they're going to be two phases. The first phase is going to be from Collier County to Estero Parkway. So from there, you're going to cross down Bonita Beach Road, Old 41, downtown Bonita, Coconut Road. There's going to be a Coconut Road and Coconut Point intersection. You're going to pass the Hertz. You're going to go to Estero, where their future development for a sports complex is right off the trail.
Okay.
And then it crosses into the village of Estero, where they have a future river park that's underway right now.
Super cool.
And then it goes all the way up to Estero Parkway, and that's the first phase. So that first phase is 11.5 miles,
Okay.
and that's the $70 million that the goal right now is to purchase.
Okay.
And so then the second phase is this little portion from Estero to Alico. That's a little bit a more complicated portion, but what we're trying to do right now is just focus on Estero Parkway down to Collier. And so so there's so many layers involved in this trail. It crosses two major rivers, right? We're crossing the Estero River and the Imperial River.
Okay.
So there's that connectivity to nature.
Mm-hmm.
There's the connectivity of like having a continuous corridor, which is for wildlife, but also the safety,
Okay.
the amount of schools that are on the trail for children to go bike to school.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many layers of like positive impacts,
Mm-hmm.
not only just for humans, but for wildlife and for activities and for, having just multiple avenues and for, looking at it in different ways, right? So, I get the part that excites me is when we have like these little nodes and you can kind of see. So our goal is to tell the story of how this is going to impact and why it matters and why you should care if you're in Southwest Florida, why you would want this trail. Because like in other regions and other cities,
There's tons of these around.
Right,
By the
it's
way. A lot
always-
of people don't realize that. But
yeah, there's a ton of these that people have transformed these railroad tracks into to trails.
Mm-hmm.
And the impact is always been positive. It's always increased property values. It's always been a positive thing, and so proven track record for bringing trails into towns. But also just the way that I see it too, it's almost like a destination if it's done right. Right. If it's really thought out and done right, like they have around the country,